Hi, today I'm later than usual, but I'm back. And today I would like to talk about how we can measure progress when performing our migration blueprint service. So, a service where we study a code base, we plan the migration, and in the end, we provide a plan. Now, you know how these things work. So if you have been working in the industry, in particular in the software industry, you know that every project, whenever you ask how things are going, you get things are going well, things are going well, things are going well until they are not going so well. And and there are situations where this takes you out of guard. And so you have just to rely to what the other party is telling you. So you get a picture that is partial or is intermediated by the opinion of someone else. I don't think that's great. And, I'm also an engineer, so I'm not very much keen into discussing opinions and words. I'm more interested in hard, cold numbers because it speaks to me differently and it speaks to me objectively. So whenever I can, I prefer to have numbers. So we can have a more objective and shared vision of the reality and figure out where we are. And based on that shared vision, we can have a discussion about the project and what we want to do. So in order to create this shared vision, what we do when working on migration project is to set up at the very beginning, already during the migration blueprint, a migration dashboard. During the migration blueprint, we will have some metrics that help us understand how the assessment of the code is doing. Then, in case the clients decide to move forward with the actual migration, we will continue using the migration dashboard and using more data to also track how the actual migration is doing, the generation of new code, and so on. So during the migration blueprint, we process the code and we start always verifying we can parse all the code that is provided. And so in this very simple example, we spend the first week, so from the 8th to the 12th of December, improving the parser, and we get 320 files. The first day there are 40 that we cannot parse correctly, then there are 30, then 12, 20, then 4, then 0, and then from that moment on, our parser works, and we could share this data with the client. Now, this example, we are updating the data daily. Typically, the client is not interested to the level of details. They may look at this number once per week, once every 2 weeks, but this gives you an idea of the level of granularity of data we can collect. This is not necessarily the data, the granularity at which you want to discuss. Typically, weekly makes more sense. But first, we focus on parsing. Then on this second example, you see we started parsing on the 8th. In this example, the first week is on parsing, the second one, so from the 15th of December, we start working on symbol resolution. Now, we can parse all the files. Now, we want to examine the connection. And we start with a lot of files that have problem with connection, and by the end of the week, we can solve everything. Of course, this is an example, everything works out perfectly. And then, you see, we want always to perform parsing and symbol resolution on all projects, but then, depending on the nature of the project, we may want to have different analysis steps. In this example, we want to analyze gotos. And so, from the third week, on the 22nd of December, in this example, we are showing incredible dedication, and we are working also on Christmas, St. Stephen days, or Boxing days. So we're always working, always progressing. And in this case, we dedicate the third weeks on classifying gotos, and we improved the classification, but in the end, we concluded that there are a certain number of gotos that are not corresponding to breaks or continuance, so as to be handled differently. So this is just a toy example, but show you the different phases: parsing, symbol resolution, and analysis. The first two are always the same. The analysis can contain 1, 2, 3 different aspects that we want to track, may be different depending on the nature of the project. And yeah, so it helps us create this shared reality so that we can discuss on it together. Now, typically during the migration blueprint per se, sharing some of this data is helpful, but it's mostly to figure out how the code base is. During the actual migration, it's more about figuring out, checking the progress, if we are keeping the pace that we plan for. And so this migration dashboard helps us in both phases: planning, migration blueprint, and actually delivery of the migration and during the migration codecraft. I hope it makes sense. Thank you. And as always, if you have questions, doubts, curiosity, please let me know. Thank you. Bye.